Welcome back to another episode of It's All Been Checked Before. This one, the slaver weapon. Yeah, I don't even like to say it. Not because of the episode necessarily, just slavery. Just I don't like the connotations. Anyway, check it out. Somebody who's not a slave, but they're a slave to podcasting, and they've been doing it a long time. The good, the bad, and the geeky. Or GBG. It's back, baby. This very long-running pop culture podcast is new reviews with host Nick Argan and Brighton Friends. They break down everything you need to know with all their nerd cred and witty insight. Hey, in the summertime, the blockbusters are coming out. I know Nick's been hitting it. Captain Marvel, you name it. Marvel Endgame. Endgame will be out by then, Avengers Endgame. So I know you've seen them. You're caught up. See what Nick and the gang has to say about it. The good, the bad, the geeky. Speaking of the good, the bad, and the geeky, patreon.com/IABD. That's the place to support all our good, the bad, and geeky adventures here at IABDpresents.com. $1, $5, $10, $1,000, we will get you your own enterprise. Speaking of enterprises, It's All Been Done, a Bare Naked Ladies podcast. Evan and Saker are going through the entire Bare Naked Ladies catalog, one song at a time, in their bi-weekly show, and that means every other week, right? Not twice a week. It's All Been Done, a Bare Naked Ladies podcast. Now they've reached the big album stunt. I think they're well into that. The one with 1 week. It's been 1 week since I mentioned this. No, it's probably been several weeks. It's been 1 week since you heard me talk about patreon.com/IABD. But this will be the only week you'll ever hear me talk about the ambergris element on It's All Been Trekked Before.
Welcome back to another episode of It's All Been Trekked Before. Back with the skeleton crew.
This is Steven.
Jimmy-Jerome. And we're here to talk about Steven's favorite named episode, the slaver weapon.
This might be the worst title of Trek so far.
So far. I mean, there's many bad titles coming up. I can't remember any off the top of my head.
They'll come to you.
I'm sure we'll find them.
Yes, undoubtedly.
So this was written by Larry Niven.
Yep.
Who wrote a few episodes of Land of the Lost, an episode of The Outer Limits. He really doesn't have many in Ringworld.
He wrote a lot of, he was, I shouldn't say big in the sci-fi community, but he wrote a lot of books, novellas, short stories, etc. He also was a consultant on Ronald Reagan's SDI initiative.
Interesting.
Also known as the Star Wars system or whatever it's called.
You just had to throw that in there.
That's not even my Star Wars Minute part, I don't think.
But this was based on his story, The Soft Weapon.
Yes.
Was that written separately?
I think so.
It is, actually.
Yeah.
It was set in his known space universe, published in 1967.
Which I wish it was called the soft weapon instead of the slaver weapon. I like the concept of the weapon. Mm-hmm. The slaver thing, or the slavers, this... And I feel like those are the elements, and I'm jumping way ahead. Sorry, everybody. First impressions, more interesting episode than I thought.
Yeah.
I love the idea of Spock and Sulu and Uhura. Like, God, this episode would have been so great on the original series, wouldn't it?
I know.
Yeah, and giving them this kind of stuff to do.
And they could have come up with... I mean, we don't want to stretch it out for stretching it out's sake.
Right.
Because this felt like 20 minutes was the right amount of time for this story.
Yes.
However, I feel like you could have added depth and history to the story that made it an hour.
Yeah, and this is one of those...
Explain the past race that's no longer around.
Right. And, have some moments of getting more into the relationships of those three or whatever.
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
So I love that element, and there were some other things I thought were interesting, some things I didn't like. Again, the slavers are this new master race from back in the day, and these stasis boxes are introduced, and I feel like those are, to me, that's somebody who has this great sci-fi mind, because those are cool sci-fi elements.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like they're shoehorned isn't the right word, but he's writing a script. I feel like he wrote and it says it's based on his story, the software.
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, how can I integrate Star Trek into this? And I think DC Fontana and Roddenberry had approached him about, really want you, because they want to get more of the sci-fi community after their great experience with Harlan Ellison.
Sure.
And I say that in quotations, but one, he wrote the best episode in the original series. But two, I know they had issues with him, as everyone did. Rest in peace, Harlan Ellison. Yeah, I like the slaver weapon, I'm going to call it the soft weapon, because I didn't.
Sure,
slaver
why
weapon.
not?
I didn't like the slavers thing. The stasis boxes are interesting, but I didn't care about those that much either. I kind of, and I wrote down, this is why the animated series isn't canon, right?
It is canon now.
It is canon.
It wasn't canon.
So this is canon.
After Roddenberry's death, they made it canon.
Okay. Roddenberry might have had this one right. Although Yesteryear should be canon.
It was canon as they made it.
I just want to be selective
and then
with canon,
after
I guess.
the fact, he said no canon.
I'm going to pretend like those elements of this episode didn't happen, even though they have to.
Well, the stasis box, so my problem with it is they created this really cool box.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. And then they just, like, drop objects in them?
Yeah. Well, again, it's another advanced civilization that might not be that advanced.
Yeah, okay. They ruled the galaxy 1 billion years ago.
Yes.
But we never heard anything about them before or after this.
That's my problem. That's my big problem with it. Is like, we've never heard about them. They're never talked about again.
They also, so I'd have to look, I read the Wikipedia plot synopsis on the soft weapon, the original story, and it's very similar. They talk about Kzinti pirates, except it's a man and his wife they're captured, so 3 Starfleet officers.
Okay.
And the settings on the weapon and all that, that's all
Are the
part of the original
Kzinti still
story.
cat-like creatures?
It doesn't say what they are. It is said in his other thing. But I wonder if the detail about the Kzinti having gone to war 4 times, the last being 200 years ago, comes from this world instead of ours.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you look at Star Trek timeline, First Contact, James Cochrane's first warp flight, which resulted in the first contact with alien species, was about 200 years before this episode.
Yeah.
So they have 4 wars with them in that first couple months after they met the Vulcans. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. I'm not canon.
Maybe it's Kzinti years. Those are shorter.
That's a good point. I'm glad you got to the years thing before I did. I didn't even have that on here.
That sounds like a point you would have brought up.
I feel bad that I missed that.
No, that's okay. We got it. That's what it is. Kzinti years are half the length of a human year.
Then that makes sense.
We're okay.
And I kind of like the Kzinti. I thought they were, at first it was like, okay, they're an easy, it's cats or whatever. And I felt like it was a little, I say racist, but we're both huge cat fans, so I felt like early on I thought it was like, so they're just taking all the worst elements of cats or what cat haters think and putting them on. But I thought as the episode went on, it was more interesting.
Yeah.
And I thought, I also like that they kind of diversified. The Kzinti weren't all the same.
No,
like a couple of them were older, and the telepathic had differing thoughts from the other one. Because at first it was like, they're Klingons that look like cats.
And Jimmy Doohan actually differentiated.
I thought he did too.
I liked Chuff Captain's voice.
Yeah.
I thought the telepath was his normal.
It was.
But Chuff Captain I
couldn't tell.
I liked.
Yeah.
It was him.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. So
I think the hour
kudos
version,
Jim Doohan.
The hour version of this, Maress would have been with them. And she was a Cation, not a Kzinti.
Right.
But I feel like they would have been Cation pirates, and the way they view dumb females, they could have built a whole conflict in where she's not a dumb female, she's proving that females aren't what they think. I'd hate if they replaced Uhura. I think she should be in addition to.
Yeah.
But I could easily see a version of this if they had more time where she replaced Uhura and they went into that.
So this is playing into 70s theories about outer space people or whatever.
Sure. And again, we needed a red shirt to get killed off.
Sure. Yeah, of course. So you've got the Kzinti.
Yes.
We've got Maressa's race of cat people.
The Cations.
The cat from outer space establishes that there's another race of super intelligent cats.
Sure.
Not Trek canon, but still.
Well, don't forget Isis that can transform
into
a cat.
And yeah, exactly. And then we've got the Egyptians.
Which
there's a reason the Egyptians worship these
cats.
people. Yeah, worship cats.
Because the Kzinti came back then.
Yeah.
Or
so
the Cations.
We know why cats are the master race and why they rule the internet.
They are. And that's why Saturday Night Live should have committed to the sketch of laser cats.
Yes.
Which was one of my favorite reoccurring bits. Randy Samberg had the cat. Yeah. If you don't know what laser cats is, Saturday Night Live, look it up. It's really bad in the best of ways.
Yeah.
Which they also ripped off of this episode of Star Trek.
And it does make you think. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of dogs in sci-fi, but cats.
I'm glad they are. So
cats seem to be more show up more. Maybe sci-fi people are more likely to be cat people. I don't know.
Our friend,
I'm taking big jumps here.
Our friend and previous Trek guest Samantha Stark, really, really wants the Universe Journey crew to go to a planet of dog people.
That makes sense. I know she's a big dog person.
I'm not. I'm a cat person. Yep. I keep telling her if you want that to happen, you have to write it because I don't have any ideas for it. I would make them all dumb Star Wars loving simpletons. Mm-hmm. There we go. They're dumb Star Wars loving simpletons. It'll be my way to bash Star Wars. I finally cracked it. My biggest problem with this episode was the inconsistencies with technology. Their belts, their little force field belts, life support belts, that force field keeps the oxygen in.
Right.
But apparently
the lasers or whatever they had.
phasers don't do anything to it. And neither does the energy sucking weapon that turns off all the energy.
Yeah.
So why are life support?
That was very
because I think they should have just said this planet has oxygen and ditched the life support belts. That would have been
simpler. That would have been it would have been easier. I did like her saying how much she hated these ice planets. Is that what she said? Yeah. Because speaking of which, her skirt might have been the shortest. Well, it's not the shortest it's ever been. It was super short. It wasn't short enough to see her underwear or skimpies. However, we saw it so many times on the original series, but.
Well, this had one of my favorite shots of Uhura when she was drawn. She was a prisoner by herself, and she was kind of sitting with her legs to the side.
Yeah,
that was a really nice silhouette. It was very well drawn.
Yeah, this again to go back to my first impression. Man, I would have loved so many of these episodes in the original series. More Uhura. It was great to see her. Sassy. I didn't like her being the one that got shot twice.
Yeah. And I didn't like how they Scooby-Doo ran.
We talked about her run was like, what is that?
Her arms were limp at her side.
It was like she was
still wearing heels.
It was like she was in the Olympic walking event.
Yeah.
And could only walk a certain way.
No wonder she kept getting shot because she was always lagging behind. Well, she wasn't really running.
She mentioned something about she used to run the 100 meters in record time.
Yeah.
Which is one, good. Metric system in the future.
Sure.
2, that's my alternate episode is Uhura's Olympic career.
I mean, my alternate episode, I want to see Maress and if they were the same species and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Or one of the stasis box, they open it up and it's a space age dildo. That would have been the Saturday morning cartoon version.
I was gonna say if the Maress episode, then is it like Calico Cats and Tabbies?
No, I think that, they were different species, but I think they should
Siamese and hairless?
No, I think they should have been the same species
but they split off.
Because of no, I don't think they should have split off. Obviously they're two different species, but their whole plot about dumb women can't do anything, I would have liked to have seen her prove that wrong.
Yeah, first I wrote they're not, the Kzinti aren't woke, but then they're like, idiot, human women are smart.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
But only
that just means
Chuck Captain realized that.
Right, I guess that means Kzinti women are stupid, but even though human women aren't.
Right, except, that's... if our old co-host Amanda was here, she would have a big problem with this. Because this episode's not sexist at all. But I like the bit where Spock's like, Uhura, pretend you're dumb. And she's like, excuse me.
Yeah, I liked it. There was some good Uhura sass in this episode.
Yes.
The closing line was not funny and not...
No,
but she had that sass.
Dumb. And
there was another line. She had like 2 or 3 lines of nice Uhura sass, which, again... And within a half an hour, it was nice to see. We just got little bits of it in the original series, but
they really must have had extra time when they wrote this because the beginning and the end of the episode both had long space shots.
Yep.
I thought it was weird that the system they went to looked like a galaxy itself.
Yeah.
Like a microcosm of a galaxy. And there were no other stars around.
The way they referenced it made me feel like they were talking about Kzinti like they were in another galaxy, but then they did say that they had the battle.
No, they were in
wars.
this galaxy.
Yeah.
The space shots were weird and they didn't really
fit.
It looked like we almost had the submarine shuttle again, except it had a little deflector dish on the front.
And that was one of my questions when they were like Shuttle Copernicus, blah, blah, blah. I thought shuttles only had so much reach.
Yes.
And it felt like to me they were like on a really long mission.
So the shuttles of Discovery, they send them quite far. Next Generation, sometimes they'll take shuttles on vacation. So I think I think they have shuttles for short range, and I think they have longer range shuttles. Right. This must have been a longer range shuttle.
Apparently.
The scale of the Kzinti shuttle, or ship,
was
way off when the people were sitting outside of it. At first, I just thought it was distance, but then when the part of it got blown up, and you heard Spock or just stayed right outside it, you're like, wait, that's not true.
I wonder if that's one of those Filmation, cheapy, lazy...
the whole ship's 3 rooms, if that's the case.
Right.
That doesn't make sense. Although, you only need 3 rooms. You need the bridge, you need the prison cell where you store your cargo, which is where they were, and then you need the big soft cat bed they all curl up together on. They only have 4 crewmen, so...
To go back to fashion. Do the Kzinti really need that tail part of the uniform?
No.
Couldn't they just tuck it up? Or just have a cutout?
Yeah.
I can understand that, we don't want our tail all mushed up and painful.
Maybe it's cold.
I guess that makes sense. I guess if they had a hole, then if they had to breathe, I guess that makes sense.
You could see somebody making the same argument of, why are our penises in our pants? Can't we just have it
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
If you and I had a separate thing for our penis,
Right.
people would be like, what is going on? Get out of here. They're children.
I just had a problem with all of their uniforms were exactly the same. There's no differentiation for rank or anything. It's like Starfleet's the only service that actually differentiates uniforms.
I liked, we both chuckled when they mentioned that Sulu was a weapons expert.
Yes, his hobby of the week. Except that was referenced back to another hobby he had. I think it was the shore leave episode.
Yes.
Where he had the gun and he was talking about,
Yeah, that was, and Sulu got to actually take charge on that.
Yeah, but I thought Sulu explaining to Spock how he knew it was a spy weapon was dumb because Spock would have figured it out too.
Yeah, I thought there were two really long there was the Kazinti talking about how their plan of what they're going to do was really long, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, there was that, and then Spock went through that whole logic exercise about the slavers and the weapon and how they would do it and all that. I thought those were both kind of cool for, one, taking the time, and it was a little talky, but I thought it was okay, especially on a Saturday morning cartoon, to be like, we're going to devote like a minute and a half to explaining why this is logical and it makes sense that this is how the episode's going to end. I actually really like those.
Yeah, I didn't hate this episode at all.
No, I didn't either.
You're right, it felt like it was... I bet the short story is really good.
Yeah.
And I think you had to just shave some stuff off of it.
Yeah.
And I wish they would have done a little more rewriting. Like I said, there's that... The Maress is just such a missed opportunity to me. I'll keep coming back to it, but such a missed opportunity story-wise.
I'd like to read the short story too. And I wonder if Niven decided that it's going to be Spock, Uhura, and Sulu, or somebody else did. Because I thought it was, again, I'm beating a dead horse here, but Sulu and Uhura got to do so much more in this episode.
Yeah.
We didn't have to have 7 people. It wasn't the Galileo 7 or anything like that.
I'm surprised Shatner let this happen. I think he had less power in the animated
He
series.
must have been filming Kingdom of the Spiders or Devil's Reign at this point.
It definitely felt like Shatner, more than anyone, has phoned the series in.
Yeah.
So I don't think he cared as much. I feel like Kirk has had no development in the series because you take away his womanizing, you take away a lot of the action, and Spock gets the development because his development's appropriate for Saturday morning. Yeah. So I definitely could see how Kirk, by the time they got the motion picture, was like, okay, but you got to give me the plot.
I liked when Spock told them to run in a zigzag fashion.
And then they didn't.
They didn't, but it just made me think of, and this is probably other shows stealing it, the movie The In-Laws with Alan Arkin and Peter Falk. And I still say this to this day. There's a point in the movie where they're getting shot at by Central American guerrillas or soldiers, and Alan Arkin just keeps yelling serpentine and running in a serpentine fashion. So I enjoyed that. And I still do that to this day. When I will run in serpentine fashion, whether I'm being shot at or not. If I'm running, that's the way I'll run quite often.
I mean, that would just make your half marathon a whole marathon.
Yeah, or people would wonder why I'm like, I made it halfway through. Yeah. I thought it was interesting, and again, I liked the way that they did differentiate the Kazinti in among themselves, that they weren't a monolith. Like, the one that could read minds.
Just in looks, not in person.
The one that could read minds, I was like, oh, this is, I'm going to screw it up because I don't know cats as well as other people, but the old cat in Cats.
I haven't seen Cats.
There's the old cat in Cats that sings Memory, and I felt like he looked like that cat. This is another thing. Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice probably stole it from Star Trek animated series. He looked beaten down and tired, and they explained, he's like, it takes a lot out of me to read minds. And I think Spock says it, actually. Yeah. And I was like, that's kind of a cool little touch there. Yeah, I really like that. And he kind of wasn't the same as the Chuff Captain or whatever they call him.
Captain. So, and I like that they explained, like, they had lesser opinions of vegetarian people.
Yeah, and that Sulu had to clear his mind of all the other stuff.
He just had to think about eating vegetables. Yeah. And then it was worked, because at one point the telepath's like, I tried to read it. He's just, like, torturing me by thinking of chewing on a root vegetable. I liked that.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was, like, all those little concepts they smushed into this little half hour.
I feel like cool. I'm liking the episode better now that we're discussing it than I did when watching it.
Yeah, I am too.
I didn't hate the episode, but we're finding cool things about it.
I expected to hate it just based on looking at the Kazinti at first, like, oh, God. Oh, it's a planet of cats, as much as I love cats.
Sure.
A planet of evil cats, then I have a problem. And the title was terrible. Planet of evil cats I'm angry about, but I thought it was going to be very
Zoe watched this one with us, and she kept going, mean cat, mean cat. She liked them a lot. She didn't understand why they weren't saying meow, though.
My last note is, I should have done this earlier when we were doing the Star Wars Minute. The stasis boxes, you have to have one to find the other, which stasis boxes, yes. Yeah. So it's very much the the Sith Jedi, there are always two.
Yep, there are always two.
Again, Star Wars stole that from Star
We had the Padawan box and the Master box.
That's right.
And Anakin's hand was inside of one of them.
They explained it, but I must have zoned out because hers like, how do you find one if you don't have the other? If that's the only way, if they're connected.
Well, that's the only way to track or scan.
Oh,
for
that's
one.
right. That's
you can
right.
find
That's
one.
right.
Like it's not invisible if you walk up to it.
I guess it's like a golden ticket.
Sure.
Like in Willy Wonka. Although you only need one golden ticket.
I don't know. And they didn't learn any lessons about the 7 deadly sins.
They did not. Those are all the notes I had.
Okay. I feel like we covered as we went. This is a shorter podcast episode, but
This
I had
animated
fewer
series.
things to say about it than the last one.
Yeah.
Let's rank the men, women. Did Chuff Captain do it for you?
No. I'm sticking with, is it Devna?
Devna?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of tempted by the telepath, but I think I'll stick with Devna as well. I thought the telepath was an interesting character.
I did too. I thought that it started helping me turn to liking this episode more.
Yeah, absolutely. And then ranking the episode, I mean, definitely better than last week. Amber Grease.
Yep.
Better than the time trap.
Yep.
Mud's Passion.
Yep.
More Troubles.
I think so.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Infinite Vulcan.
That was
Giant Spock.
I
Wasn't
think.
it Giant Spock? No,
Yeah.
that wasn't Giant Spock.
Yeah.
No, it
Wasn't
wasn't. Territon Incident was Giant Spock.
Oh, was it?
What's the Infinite Vulcan?
What was Infinite Vulcan?
Right, because Territon Incident was the plants people, right? Or am I wrong? No, I'm wrong. The plant people was the Infinite Vulcan.
It was, okay. Terrigen was that when they got small?
Hang on.
That was a shrinky episode, right?
Yeah, we had our
shrinkage.
growing and our big one, which are both somehow at the top. The Territon. Oh, I typed it wrong. Yes, that was when they shrunk.
Okay, all right.
I think just by benefit of only 3 of them, it keeps going up higher, in my opinion.
I think so.
Like, really focused on the story.
Yeah.
I would put it higher than either one of those.
I would too.
The Survivor is next. We
That
should
was a
start
good
at the
one.
top, I guess.
We
almost started up to the top.
I did like the Survivor.
I'm trying to remember the Survivor. That was a long time
That was
ago.
the Ted Knight one. The guy comes back.
Oh, yeah. We liked Ted Knight.
It was kind of the Trek motion picture.
Shapeshifter.
Yeah. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Is Yesteryear the only one above that?
Yes. I mean, this is 2 or 3, but which one? I can see it both ways.
Yeah, I would probably be more inclined to watch this one again because of her and Sulu. And
I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
I'll put it up,
Yeah.
number 2.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like the visitors too.
I didn't expect how quickly it would go up. I guess I've forgotten how bad some of the other episodes are.
I didn't expect to like this one that much. I had
low hopes.
And I know I read whatever. Every time I look on the Wikia page, they have the Trek magazine rating. I think they only gave this 2 stars, but I think they underrated it.
Yeah. And this is as a 7.2 out of 10 on IMDb.
Oh, there you go.
But that doesn't...
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
IMDb rankings are...
Yeah. But yeah, I like this one. I'm pleasantly surprised.
They also ranked More Troubles, 7.2, by the way. However, other than Yesteryear, this is tied with Tribbles on IMDb of what we've seen so far for second highest rated,
so that's,
with Yesteryear's number 1.
That makes sense.
Yeah, I guess it was well regarded. The last 2 of season 1 aren't as high. Because we only have 2 left in season 1.
Okay.
But we're not taking a break. We're going to go straight into the final 6 episodes of season 2, and none of them are ranked as high either. The Counterclock Incident, which I think highly, I have fond memories of that story, is a 7.1.
Okay.
So it's ranked right up there.
All right.
Obviously, we disagree with them on Tribbles quite a bit.
Yeah,
but
I mean, if it didn't have Tribbles in the title, we might not.
it was just bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, it wasn't. We didn't rank it at the bottom.
Yeah, we didn't hate it.
It was still just not great. So,
yeah.
Anyway, next week we will be talking about The Eye of the Beholder. Kirk and crew find themselves placed in an alien zoo, which the Orville stole.
Ooh, and Twilight Zone didn't.
Uhura and Sulu are voice credit only.
So
boo. they got this week.
Yep.
They're not in next week. But Spock, of course, gets to come back. We do have Maress and Eric.
I think I remember this one.
We do have Maress and Eric next week.
So
that'll be. Title. Yeah, I feel like I might have read a novelization of this one.
I feel like there are so many sci-fi things that use that title. I know, well, Twilight Zone and Star Trek animated series. That's at least 2 that use Eye of the Beholder. Because I think Twilight Zone was the one with the people with the pig faces.
Yeah.
I think.
Maybe. But until next week, live long
and prosper.
And stay away from stasis boxes.
And stay in shape so you can race Uhura in the future.
It's All Been Done presents.
Who's got the time?